So I guess we're on sort of a jag about kids here, and this is from rawstory.com from a couple of days ago by Arturo Garcia. Cops accuse Florida woman of neglect for letting a 7-year-old son walk to the park alone. Police in Port St. Lucie, Florida, arrested a local woman and charged her with child neglect for allowing her 7-year-old son to walk to a park on his own. This is reported by WPTV. My own bondsman, I guess that's the guy who bailed her out, said my parents would have been in jail every day, Nicole Gainey was quoted as saying, adding that she paid a bond of nearly $4,000 before being released from jail. Gainey's arrest this past Saturday afternoon. This isn't even an ROR situation. She's not even releasing this woman on her own recognizance. Right. She's so dangerous, she's got to give them $4,000 to get out of jail. She was allegedly precipitated by an encounter between her son, Dominic, and someone at a local public pool. The boy was walking past the facility at the time on the way to Sportsman Park about a half a mile from his home, carrying a cell phone that his mother gave him and to allow her to check up on him. They asked me a couple of questions, and I got scared, so I ran off to the park, and they called the cops, said Dominic. So I guess he was going by the pool, and somebody said, hey, little boy, what are you doing? This is just me guessing here. Where are you going? You're too young to be out by yourself. And he got a little scared of the line of questioning, and he ran off and went to the park. Sometime later, an unidentified officer approached the boy in the park, at which point he took him back to his home and arrested the elder Gainey. This is the mother. According to PTV, her arrest report noted that the officer's argument that numerous sex offenders reside in the vicinity of the park. He just basically kept going over there's pedophiles and this and that, and basically the park wasn't safe and he shouldn't be there alone, Nicole Gainey said. Now this sounds like a failing of the police,
right?
Mind you,
right.
PTV reported that the Port St. Lucie County State's Attorney Office assesses the types of encounters on a case-by-case basis since there's no legal age requirements for allowing children to walk alone. Now, first off, should she have been arrested? Because if the officer's claim is there's, I need to arrest you because there are pedophiles in the area, well, then that's information she may or may not have had. Is she an unfit parent because she didn't know that there were, he's giving her new information. I don't know. I don't know whether I think that that's a good idea or not that her kid walks back and forth to the park. I think that generally he should be able to do that regardless of who's around.
I know when I was like 14 years old, I went to New York City by myself. So
14. I was at 6 years old. I was riding my bike to the next street over where my friend lived.
Yeah, I was doing tons of that stuff, but I was.
This is what's going on here.
Rural Connecticut.
This was suburban Bradenton, Florida. Braden, Kentucky, home of the heroin needle. Good Lord. Watch PTV's report here. This is where they aired. So anyway,
I've got other news. I don't mean to interrupt this, but I have other news. There was another recent story. I don't know if you've heard about. Did you hear about the in Bradenton? Like, this is really recent news. The couple that was caught just having sex on the beach.
Yes, there was a video recording. Just having sex.
Braden, Kentucky.
We love our Bradenton listeners. They can't say anything to me. I grew up there.
That's why FARC has a Florida tag.
In a similar incident in South Carolina earlier this month, McDonald's employee Deborah Harrell was reportedly fired from her job and separated from her 9-year-old child by the state after being arrested for letting the child play alone at a park with her own cell phone for security purposes. Harrell was allowed to work following a misunderstanding with the company that reunited her with her child. Where is this age? This needs to be codified in law. If you're going to arrest people for child endangerment, you need to say, well, they need to be this age to walk this far by themselves on a road unattended. Because this child's 7. My child's 6. I don't know what kind of growth Jack's going to go through in the next year. But I got to say, I would be uncomfortable with letting my 6-year-old son right now just wander aside of a road by himself. I would.
Right.
But that's a different parenting choice than what this woman made.
Right.
And I don't know. I think to some extent we have to be left to make the parenting choices we would make. in order to see what the results are. How else are we going to see what the results are?
Right.
Now, what I would let my son do is walk to the neighbor's house, which is through the woods,
Right.
From my house. Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to show you the path, and then you can go over there at the end of at school when school's out and play and that kind of thing. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I guess it's the cars that concern me on the side of the road. But I'm sure Jack would get along on a sidewalk just fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This woman, who should be telling her how she can raise her 7-year-old? I guess.
No one. I mean, really, it's. I'm just thinking back to my own childhood where I definitely was able to walk up and down the street, ride my bike, whatnot, big wheel, whatever you want, whatever it was at whatever particular age. I did have one, I think, incident like sometime around Halloween where I did almost get whacked by a car, but it didn't happen. It's like there's so much stuff that our generation as kids, we had lawn darts. We were allowed to play outside.
Till the streetlights came on, and sometimes we'd push it past that.
Right. I mean,
out in forts where it looked like homeless people lived at some point.
Yep.
That's where we found the pornographic magazines.
You could play baseball without helmets. Like you could ride a bike without a helmet.
I mean, and somehow this whole generation I'm 43. I'm sure that the similar experiences happened to most people in my generation. Probably most people that were older than me too. Are we that messed up? Is it so ridiculous that this 7-year-old should be able to walk to the park? What do you think? If you think that this is an appropriate response, arresting this woman by the Port St. Lucie authorities, please give me a call. 855-450-3733. I want to know. I want to understand. This situation with this woman, I think is, I don't know. I think it's scary that this lady is being arrested. I assume that her child is, that she has some, has her child been taken from her, or are they just going to arrest her? I don't know. They don't say that specifically. Maybe the dad.
Is there another parent? Yeah, is there another parent in the picture would be the next question.
Maybe that's the situation. I don't know. What age should a child be able to walk to the park? If it's not 7, and 7 is kind of I think there's a lot of difference developmentally between a kid who's turned 7 and a kid who's about to turn 8.
Right.
Every year it gets less and less over time, but there's a big difference even in my son from 6 to 6.5. He's not even quite 6.5. So 5 months of development in his 6 years. I guess that's his 7th year, actually. When he turns 6 is the end of his 6th year. Okay. Anyway, but there's a lot of development that goes on. I don't know how old this child is, but should an 8-year-old be able to walk to the park? Should a 9-year-old be able to walk to the park? There's a situation in South Carolina where a woman, because she didn't have any money for daycare, would let her 9-year-old stay at the park all day with a cell phone just to kind of monitor. I think it really depends on the kid. Some kids, I think they have a lot of control and they know where they're at and what's going on. I think other kids less so. Let's go to Dave calling in from St. George, Utah. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
I think this poor mother who was arrested in Florida, I think the scary part for me is it sounds as if this police officer just arbitrarily made a decision that there's too many pedophiles in that neighborhood for the kid to walk a half mile to the park.
Yeah, at this point, especially in Florida where people are arrested all the time, there's pedophiles in every neighborhood.
Yeah, but you can see a half mile. It's not that far, right? You say a half mile. But if you go out and mark off a half mile, you could see that kid from your front porch.
Yeah, if it was a straight shot. Yep.
Well, if you look on the map, it is a straight shot. That neighborhood's all square blocks. There's a Lutheran church across the street from the park. Apparently, there's a public swimming pool near there where there were lifeguards that scared the kid off to begin with. And how would this woman be expected to know what this police officer apparently knows is that there's a pedophile in every other house as the kid walks down the street?
Aren't there maps of being able to find the pedophiles?
I just looked one up.
I tried to look one up for that area and I couldn't find one.
Well, I just found one. And guys, how many sexual predators do you think that there are in Port St. Lucie, Florida?
I would imagine
Total?
dozens.
I've got
23.
2.
2 in Port St. Lucie?
2.
Well,
I've got the
now
map
I
here.
agree. The woman should be locked up for life.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.